hanging the balcony there out of Saint-Devote, up the steep rise, and through he goes into the lower speed with his race engineer looking on, probably at some squiggly lines of data, hoping that the car holds itself together.
Has he gone deep? He has.
Maybe waving to some more neighbours down there at Mirabeau.
Mirabeau corner, very, very tight corner.
There
is
is
the escape road that Charles Leclerc has occupied immediately. There's always action.
Dusty on track, probably.
So as we cut to Brian Bozzi there, he would have seen Leclerc going straight on in squiggly line form in the data trace. So he would have seen the car coming to a halt. Was there a lock up there which you'd hope to avoid, keep these tyres in check? Well, there was late on, but not a massive one there on the right front. It was a pretty cautious bail out there from Charles. But of course, the grip level is really low. This is the first time these streets have been used so far, and on this weekend at least, and for a couple of weeks they had the historic race here. But I don't know how much rubbering in that will count for right now as Formula One hits the track, and it will just get better and better. And on the hard tyre, obviously caught himself out with not a lot of grip.
He will hope so. It's been a bit of an adventure for his first lap of the weekend. As the drivers are calibrating their machines, we go past the commentary box position.
Look is fine. I don't think he's gonna feel it.
Busy circuit underneath us already.
Yeah, 22 cars for the first time in a long time at the Monaco Grand Prix, shortest circuit of the season.
Yeah, they're all crawling. You can see now Leclerc winding it up, but they are all coming to a snail's pace coming through Rascasse, and those two more cars taking part. So you've got all 22 on the track straight away. Track time is so important around here, but they are just going to cluster up the circuit a little bit more as well. So trying to find your clear space is always difficult with 20 cars. Cars slightly smaller this year, but not by a great deal in Monaco terms.
On hard tires with
I don't think I have enough steering for the hairpin.
Lindblad complaining he doesn't have enough steering for the hairpin, so probably.
So cranking on the steering lock around this hairpin, slowest corner of the season. And Arvid Lindblad, who's been here in Formula 2, but not in Formula 1, saying, I'm not sure I can easily get round it.
Right, well, I want to see an on-board with Arvid to see how he has got round it. And has he had to do some sort of spin turn to get around the hairpin?
Well, get halfway through and boot it to rotate the car.
Well, he either has the steering lock to get around or he hasn't. So often you have specific steering rack changes for Monaco, because that turn... well, Lowe's corner, Fairmont hairpin, turn 6 is so tight, and it's very difficult to get through. But I mean, this would be a bit of a bad start for Racing Bulls.
Charles Leclerc out of the 19th and final corner, and he crosses the line on the pit straight that isn't straight and goes into third position. Lewis Hamilton, former winner here, so is Max Verstappen, so is Charles Leclerc, and Lando Norris, also part of that conversation.
That's a really good sign.
Antonelli is not a former winner around here, but he is the championship leader by a whopping 43 points. He is pushing on the hard tyre. Max Verstappen top of the pile as we get the early efforts on the timing pitch.
I do enjoy seeing the early efforts coming in as well.
Then I cannot show that.
Honestly, it feels more like a steering lock.
Lawson complaining the same.
Liam, same feedback at the car. We're looking.
Wow, let's dig out the onboard then, because I'm fascinated to see how the Racing Bulls are rotating around the hairpin.
Well, this is a fundamental that's going to be bringing them in and keeping them in for a long time then. The Racing Bulls, if they cannot get around there, not drive around it for now, they obviously are doing so somehow, but
the car looks very
it's a pretty major problem, fundamental problem for both Racing Bulls cars.
Okay, so I think it's not best
Still loads of data,
but yeah,
historic data for the team to know what they need to do to get around the tightest corner in Formula 1. Here we go with Lawson. Okay, so he's got through, but he's backed it in slightly on the way in to get some rotation on the brakes.
And
through he goes around the next corners, but it is just that left-hand hairpin that's incredibly tight.
Hamilton, I think, should be on a fast lap.
Interesting mistake with the calibration for the steering lock then. At this corner, this is where we're talking about. Lewis Hamilton making his way around the hairpin.
Yeah, it's first gear. take your left hand off the wheel so you can turn the wheel as much as you need to, and then some drivers do hang on to it with a full right hand on the left and left hand on the right. But you used to just take the left hand off, join it back onto the steering wheel on the exit of it, so you can get the lock on quickly enough to get round that super low speed, super tight corner. And then, yeah, with a different amount of steering that you can apply. Hamilton giving it some, coming through the Raskas, or towards the Raskas, out of the swimming pool. Verstappen straight on it. That's what I love about these early laps, is to see who can nail on it straight away. Verstappen top of the times back-to-back with laps. Hamilton is pushing on as well, and the times just tumble quickly.
Yeah, interesting to see who is quick out of the traps and who takes a while to work up to it. It honestly is an incredibly tight, difficult, technical, historic racetrack. We go on board with Pierre Gasly. But the drivers have the 3 hours, the traditional 3 hours of practice this weekend. First time in a while that we've not run the sprint format.
So it's the biggest difference you'll see between Formula One drivers all season, is the early laps of Monaco. Gasly's going to have traffic from his teammate, who jumps out of the way, plus one other, as a Mercedes, jumps out of the way as well. And there's traffic will play a factor as much as it will anywhere right now, more than it will anywhere else in the season. But commitment, confidence from a driver makes a huge difference. Look at the times. Sergio Perez in the Cadillac is 5th. And he just keeps putting himself up there because he's a driver that's won here in the past. Let's not forget, he's the king of the streets, loves the street circuit. And in a Cadillac right now, early on, he's able to get the car ahead of a Ferrari, ahead of a Mercedes. He's doing a good job. As everyone else winds it up, he will not stay there. But it's interesting to see the confidence of certain drivers.
This is Max Verstappen making his way past the second section of the swimming pool. You'll see the inside barrier that begins that corner, taking a lot of punishment all through the weekend. A little bit of debris on the circuit that Verstappen was moving to avoid there. He goes over the line for an improvement of his lap time, but not his position. He remains in second. They're in the 1:15s. Hamilton and Verstappen, the top two, his Hadjar.
With loads of margin to the walls through the swimming pool. The fast stuff particularly, a little bit more to the slow corners. Hadjar was really quick here last year, so should not be underestimated. Had a sensational qualifying, good finish in the race as well, up in the top 5, top 6, and comes through to join his teammate in the top 3. But there's plenty of margin there for Isaac, who will know. Be quick, but make sure you do not put it in the wall in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah, Hadjar, who's coming off the back of a 5th place. And it's a glorious day by the Mediterranean Sea. Now let's head trackside with a former winner around here, Juan Pablo Montoya.
Hey, Alec, this is pretty amazing. The right quality over the curb. The Mercedes looks really solid. The Red Bull looks really solid. The Cadillac looks really solid over the curbs. It's incredible. And they seem to have really good traction as well. The McLaren, on the other hand, seems to be running the car a lot stiffer. They're looking for more platform. And through here, they seem to be struggling a little bit. So it's going to be interesting as the track rubbers up which way is going to be better. But it's really amazing. The amount of wheel spin they're getting off this corner is incredible. It's so much fun to watch here.
That is one of the iconic shots of the season for the photographers, who will be desperate to get another classic with all the apartments in the background and the cars rotating through the Nouvelle Chicane. Brilliant to have the winner of the Grand Prix from 2003 watching on and giving us his early assessment. Charles Leclerc was asked about Ferrari's chances this weekend. He said if there's one track where you'd bet on Ferrari, it's Monaco. No matter what the regulation set, no matter what the era, they seem to just be great through low-speed corners, and Monaco is only low-speed corners.
It was the case last year, wasn't it? He was gutted to be on the front row of the grid. Second place, it was a really good effort. Held provisional pole, was beaten right at the end by Lando Norris. But he was gutted because he knew Monaco was a great chance. 3 poles in the past, 1 win. But he's always phenomenally strong around this circuit. And look, his teammate right now is at the top of the time. Charles backs out of that lap with some traffic and will go again. Needless to say, these tyres will allow loads and loads of consistent lapping. Degradation's extremely low. The track will evolve and get quicker at a way higher rate than the tyres will go away. So They can just use these hards for probably the entire session if they need to. But yeah, Leclerc then knows that this is an opportunity for Ferrari. They would have looked at this from the start of the year and thought, right, we'll do our best at circuits like Melbourne in China. And they did very well, took the lead of the races, tried to hang on against the Mercedes, but the straight line speed of the Mercedes was too strong. Here, it won't count for very much because it's all about the cornering.
Franco Colapinto is making his way to the Rascasse. He has gone past the direction of the pit lane, which overlooks the swimming pool chicane. Let's go downstairs to Ruth Buscombe, who is standing there.
Yeah, so amazing thing about Monaco is you're both in the pit lane. I'm here next to home hero Charles Leclerc's garage as his family watches him on. And then he's out here on track because we actually get to see the swimming pool chicane as our Monegasque hero blasts straight past us. We can see two of the key things you need to nail Monaco. What are they? One, how close do you get to these walls? It's absolutely important to practice in these sessions. Every single rep gets you closer. By the time it gets to qualifying, it will be a matter of millimeters. 1.2 centimeters, basically half an inch is all you can manage in qualifying. Secondly, that curb is the biggest tell we're going to get all weekend. Much like the one over in turn one, we're going to see teams ride this or not. We saw the Cadillac do a great job. We saw Charles Leclerc, amazing ride over that curb. And the way you can tell watching it is when they come back down, how many times do they bounce? One bounce, pretty good. Two bounces, not so good. And the McLaren is avoiding it completely. That doesn't mean they're not going to have it going yet as more cars run over it and it grips up. But that corner right now is telling us the ranking.
Loving the insight. Thank you very much, Ruth. Charles Leclerc has had a moment at the Nouvelle Chicane as he makes his way through there. Here's Esteban Ocon.
Yeah, I can just back up a bit. Yeah, he doesn't have to my laps twice as well, you know, on the fast.
Off to a friendly start at Haas for the weekend. Ollie Behrman ahead of Esteban Ocon.
Oh, what an idiot, man. So that was so stupid.
Whoa, the fun starts early on for Haas. It's always difficult to get your clean laps in. You'd have thought the one driver that would get out of the way for you nice and easy would be your teammate, but Ollie Behrman not getting out of the way of Ocon. Behrman obviously feels that Ocon's done something wrong at some other point on the lap. Messy from the team. That's the one driver you've got actual control over. The rest of it, you're hoping that they have good communication and want to get out of your way, but yeah, as yet not able to get on the front of the leaderboard. 18th and 19th, 3 seconds off the pace. Love the onboards early on. It looks quick already, doesn't it? Hajar coming past Ruth Buscombe corner there, second part of the swimming pool. Was that a bounce over the chicane? If it was a small one.
I felt flammable going up the hill. It's crazy. The bouncing.
Well, Hajar says big one.
Did you ask him that question directly?
So I think he must be talking about this stretch here. When you go up the hill, out of Saint-Devote, getting on the gas on the straight line. So that's just accelerating. Look, the car running stiff there, and it doesn't slow you down at that point. This is not very comfortable. The rest of the lap is, I mean, you're basically coming downhill through the hairpins, and then it's flatter around the harbour from the moment that you find the Nouvelle Chicane. There's a little drop into the Nouvelle Chicane as well. But obviously he's not loving the ride. It didn't look too bad when we were on board with Isaac.
Got great form around here. Should have won the F2 feature race a couple of years ago. Brilliant pole position. Also a very hair-raising moment in the tunnel a couple of years ago. Pointing a slower car on the racing line. Unbelievable reactions to dance around the car. Pure instinct. And avoided a massive accident as a result. It would have been huge. It would have been the biggest accident we've seen in the tunnel for the single-seater races around here in a long time. He avoided it and showed us all the amazing skills that these drivers have. New livery for Aston Martin this weekend. So you'll notice the change on the car as Lance Stroll comes past. Aston Martin not exactly brimming with optimism for the weekend ahead, especially if you ask Fernando Alonso, but rotating around the final corner, they can just see whether they come across any issues. Alonso skeptical about the gearbox lasting when speaking to the media in the pen yesterday, which the drivers are either required to go to the press conference and speak to Tom Clarkson, or to make their way to the media pen, where all the journalists line up one by one, if you wonder how that works. That never used to be the case, but the drivers were fed up of answering the same question about 10 times. On board with the man who's had some strong results here, but he's never won in any category around these streets, Oscar Piastri, former Formula 3 and Formula 2 champion, third place finisher in the World Championship last year, and he will be hoping to turn the tables. A couple of years ago, he was the stronger McLaren. Last year, it was Lando Norris with unbelievable effort in qualifying. First time that we dipped under the 1 minute 10s in championship history around this circuit, and he'll hope the pendulum swings back to him in 2026.
Floviz at the back of the McLaren, Norris, and it is showing that extraordinary rear winglet that the McLaren team, the Mercedes team, the Red Bull team, plenty of others are trying to find something with that part of the rear wing. Now, because there's no active area, there's no straight modes around this circuit, there's too many corners, there's not enough straights, there are no places where they'll pop open the front and rear wings, which means you can play around with that in a way that you can't anywhere else. And it's amazing to see what they've all done. And McLaren there with the Floviz paint on, desperate to see what the airflow is actually going to do when you put that part on the car and drive it around at speed. And then they'll see when Lando then gets back to the garage, take some photos, do some airflow analysis on it, and see if it's getting what they want it to do, if the air is flowing in the right way, and correlate that to what they thought on their models back at base.
Sam Collins, our technical analyst. It is a fascinating development for this weekend.
It's absolutely wonderful, isn't it? It's one of those silly bits of rule making. The teams have known about this for some time, actually. But when they realised there was no active aero on the cars, they realised there was a little bit of freedom in the regulations around the rear wing, where you have that free bit of bodywork that's supposed to be the shroud over the actuator for the active aerodynamics, which is also at the front. Well, when they realised they didn't have to have these actuators on the cars, well, I'm going to take it off. That's a little bit less complexity on the car. But that reduces the weight on the top of the rear wing and on the front wing as well. And that can shift the weight distribution. So like, well, we have to put a bit of ballast in there, but it's a bit hard to put ballast in a rear wing. So what do? Well, let's put another wing on the rear wing, and that's what we're seeing. So the teams are just really laterally thinking about this, and they're actually following the lead set by Alpine, who were the first to exploit this little zone of freedom on the centre line of the rear wing, and they've had a little winglet there for a few races now. But nothing as elaborate as the Mercedes, the Red Bull dog, or is it a cat? Or the McLaren solution. But I absolutely love this sort of stuff, and there's a lot more to come, I think.
I love the novelty of it. They look so strange, don't they? So used to a rear wing looking like a rear wing, but then centre part just looks bizarre with the extra attachments that the top teams particularly have attached to them. The Mercedes one particularly looks extraordinary. McLaren's, the dog-shaped Red Bull one, looks like I'd call it a poodle.
Clobbering the curb on the second part of the swimming pool. Franco Colapinto then finds his path blocked by a Ferrari for the Rascasse. And this is what it looked like from the visor cam, the acknowledgement from Charles Leclerc, who has the fastest time with a 1:15.060. Antonelli in second, our championship leader. Then Hamilton, Verstappen, Norris, and Hülkenberg up in sixth place.
Ferrari are backing up their credentials as potential favourites for this race nicely early on. Leclerc with the fastest first sector over his already best first sector, and his fastest lap as well by nearly 4/10. Can he keep it through the final sector? A little bit of traffic. He's got Valtteri Bottas just up the road, but Valtteri may well steer clear of him. He's actually on a personal best himself, so that's the margin that Bottas has compared to... There you go. You can see Leclerc closing so much. This is a man that could lower the benchmark and does by a 10th. Meanwhile, Bottas just lost 3 seconds to him in a single lap in the Cadillac. They're both on fast laps. Leclerc would have started almost not seeing Valtteri at the start of that lap because of the curved start-finish. And he ends, even though Bottas is pushing flat out in a Cadillac, almost getting bulked by him at the Rascasse.
Kimi Antonelli's scampered over the runoff at the second part of the swimming pool chicane. According to our timing page, you're looking at the Principality, and now you're looking Sandoval Corner, named for the chapel that you can find in the runoff area, at the end of the runoff area. And we make our way up the hill and into Massenet and Casino Square. Good view of Casino Square. There it is. There is the square of Casino Square. Don't always see that, but that was perfectly timed. Didn't know that was coming. Into Mirabeau, where we saw Charles Leclerc go deep earlier on. And then this used to be the station hairpin. Then they knocked it down and built a hotel. And so it's been known by many names through the years. Once upon a time it was Lowe's, now it's Fairmont. It's just the hairpin. As we look further to the harbour, Port Hercule, and now to the tunnel. You love it when I do that.
Beautifully done from our tourist guide of Monaco. You should do that if you ever pack in Formula One. It's very good.
Walking tours.
Yeah, walking tours. The history of the place.
And this is the start line where Ayrton Senna crossed the line 6 times. The most of anyone. Graham Hill, only winner of the Triple Crown in Formula One in the Indy 500, Le Mans 24 Hours, and the Monaco Grand Prix. Only one driver in history has done that. And 5-time Monaco Grand Prix winner Graham Hill, the only driver to achieve that feat. Wasn't really a big deal when he achieved it. I went and dug out the race report when he won in Le Mans, and they were like, oh yeah, he has now won in Indianapolis and the Monaco Grand Prix and the Le Mans 24 Hours. But it's a remarkable thing that he achieved all those years ago.
Holy moly, this is going to be close. Weesh. That little...
Oh my word. It's only Friday.
Is it like a plastic slippery surface sign or something that was between the Armco barrier there that caught the breeze and flapped in the wind? I don't know, but my word, Leclerc is quickest by half a second. He's taking risk early on, straight lining the exit of the Nouvelle Chicane as much as possible to try and find some traction. We can join his teammate for a flying lap. They come so quickly around, less than 1 minute 15 for the lap already. That'll get lowered significantly even through this next 37 minutes, let alone through the next 2 hours of practice as well, and then we go through qualifying.
How much is the burst of sunlight when you come to the tunnel? More dramatic on the onboard than in real life?
Yes. I was watching Charles Leclerc describe that yesterday, and he said, oh, it's really bright, so you have a moment of startle. I was like, I never felt that when you come through there. You're looking so far up the road that you're already looking at the light, and I think the human eye can... Hamilton in deep Rascasse. It's been a little bit of an aggressive lap. He's on the fastest middle sector. He was sliding it in towards the Nouvelle Chicane. It's a quick lap, but certainly you can see the grip level's not there at the moment. My knee padding is falling off. The bouncing is crazy. Cadillac have struggled with ride all year, and that's not good news for Perez. But yeah, the human eye, I think, is just better equipped than a camera lens still in 2026. So it's dark in the tunnel, but you don't adjust too slowly to hit the brakes well for Nouvelle Chicane.
Fascinating to get the drivers' insight. That is Lewis Hamilton in second place with that lap that you saw on board. Let's go downstairs once more to the pit lane and check in again with Ruth. Hi, Ruth.
Hello. And one of the weird and wonderful things about this pit lane is it makes Monaco the hardest track on the season to communicate, both to your drivers and the rest of your teams. You'll see the pit stop happening right there of the Aston Martin. But above that, and you can see it really nicely in this Haas garage, it is the only place we go to all season where the pit wall is above the garage. Normally it's on the other side. Now that's because we've just basically run out of space. It makes a very unique challenge for the engineers. You can't see what's going on. The eye contact between your head of engineering, your race engineer, teams take very different approaches. Some put their race engineers in the garage, but then they can't see what's going on upstairs. We've had many a time communication, intense rivalries between teammates have kicked off, and I believe it's because of that quirky little Monaco layout. And then another one, JP will give you a nice little zoom there. You see right at the back of this garage, you'll see a tyre set. That is important because you don't normally see those because these garages are so small that you can only keep a very limited number of tyre sets. Why is that important? Why are we seeing it in free practice? Because the mechanics have to practice getting them out. They can only have 1 or 2. Go back to Daniel Ricciardo's race in 2016. They didn't have the right set. They had to run all the way out the back and bring it. There are so many elements that make this race a unique challenge, not just for the drivers, but for every single individual trying to keep the peace, a bit like those Haas drivers out on track right now.
We had a yellow flag in the first part of the racetrack. Thank you very much, Ruth. Appreciate the insight. Yeah, Danny Rick famously without the tyres ready because they're at the back of the garage. There is a little bit of room, but just impossible to haul the tyre set that they needed to the pit lane position in time. And we'll try and point out for you on the main straight where the other tyres are kept. But it is a unique logistical challenge for all in Formula One. So good to have Ruth in the pit lane to point out what the teams are facing. The yellow flag in the first part of the racetrack. We saw Lewis Hamilton maybe recovering, might have gone deep into Saint-Devant. Perez has put on the medium tyre. He is the highest runner on the medium in 13th. Here's Lewis Hamilton, locked up into Saint-Devant and bailing out.
Yeah, big smoky lock-up on the front right. Very easy to do. It's a classic lock-up corner, that one. Launching into a flying lap. Have you got your front tyres where they need to be for peak grip? It's a little bit bumpy as well as you apply the brakes. Got to be careful with your peak pressure. Normally you come in, you hit about 120 bar on a big stop. Monaco, you cannot afford to do that. There's not enough grip. There's too many bumps in the surface, and so it's easy to catch one of them if you have too much peak brake pressure to take advantage of the aerodynamics on the car. And Hamilton there a little bit too much for the grip level he had. Verstappen saying that his tyres are dead. Now, surely on a hard tyre early on, he's talking about graining there. Remember, I said very early on how quick Max was out of the box. He'd set the fastest lap for the first 2 or 3 laps. And the sliding around sometimes on the tyre ends up destroying them quicker than actually wearing the rubber away. So possibly that's a case of Max pushing really hard really soon, and then it's actually just damaged the tyre as he's trying to find the pace before the tracks come in and the tyres found the optimum window. Others are still finding time on their early sets. Mercedes now on a medium.
As we go on board with Kimi Antonelli, the slippery surface flag is being displayed at the beginning of the 3rd sector. And Antonelli, 19 years of age, the only teenager in history to lead the Formula One World Championship, and he finds himself with the 3rd fastest time. George Russell down in 9th at the moment as we check in on the Alpine. And this is Pierre Gasly, and there is the reason that we have the flag. And potentially we've got debris on the circuit.
Come from the barge board area there from Gasly, it looked like. Russell only did a short run on the first run. Antonelli did 2 more flying laps, and at the end on his hards managed to get down to the pace that he's on now in 3rd. First lap on the mediums, and it was actually not quite as quick. They will maybe take a couple of laps to get to their best. Oh, Bortoleto, that is, oh my word, scruffy on every single angle through the Nouvelle chicane there, locking the fronts coming in, sliding on the initial turn-in, scrabbling for any level of traction, getting a load of wheel spin coming on the way out as well. Nothing looks tidy about this from Bortoleto. You can see drivers clearly working over the limit of grip, but the limit of grip looks really low for the Audi.
Yeah, 1 set of tyres for the entire session for Gabriel Bortoleto. He's been running the hards. He's done 17 laps now, and he's in 12th position.
Yeah, fair play for his confidence. My word, that looked a handful.
We can see Sergio Perez moving his way past the debris. They've not taken the opportunity to recover that for the moment. It's not directly on the racing line. Here's the winner of the Grand Prix in 2022. Now we get the virtual safety car to recover the piece of the Alpine at the Rascasse.
Should be very quick. Famously quick, the marshals here at recovering cars, car parts. Very well equipped with some unbelievably effective cranes to winch the cars off when they need it.
You know what I enjoyed yesterday? Seeing the marshals practice. They were getting their reps in.
Yeah. Oh, this is
superb.
It's pretty much perfect from Leclerc. Little kiss of the barrier, but you get away with that with a tiny bit of flex. Anything more, and he's going to honk it into the wall on the exit. But we've seen that now from Leclerc, Nouvelle chicane, the exit of the swimming pool. The swimming pool, that part is the easiest to crash now on this circuit. Ever since they made that corner quicker in 2016, it has become really, really difficult, and the time gain or loss is significant there as well. You have to have so much confidence, and you have to basically brush that wall or get as close to it as possible, or you're going to be playing slow. Leclerc is dialed in early on.
Okay, we are at the halfway stage. As you look at the harbour, let's go down to the pit lane again with Ruth, who can talk us through.
And this is a very special, very unique pit lane, but like everything in Monaco, as we see the cars file in here, the Alpine there. Now, why is it unique? Well, you can't see the other end. It is curved. The pit lane goes in championship order, P1 in the constructors at the other end, all the way down to our newcomers in the 11th garage there, Cadillac at the end. Things about this pit lane that make racing slightly odd. One, as we see the Red Bull slide out in front of us, you have to angle your pit box, but you have to decide. If you angle it like this way, it helps your entrance. If you angle it that way, it helps your exit. Two teams have a really great position here. Championship leaders, of course, they get to drive straight in, but also newcomers, Cadillac, have a straight shot out. Every year in the race, because overtaking is so difficult, you need 4 seconds a lap to be able to pass. One of the places you don't need that, it's here. The pit stops matter, and we do more pit stops at this race weekend, practice-wise, than any other on the calendar, because this pit lane is shortest of the year, but it is mighty and very, very important.
Certainly is. Thank you, Ruth. Big lap this for Kimi Antonelli. He's got the medium tyre on the car.
Second flyer on the medium, so he's had to deal with the VSC in between it, but he had one flying lap to match his best on the hard, and this one's going to dispatch it to the top of the times. 4/10 now quicker than Leclerc. Both Ferraris are in the garage, both McLarens are out there on a medium as well, so we will see the response. And we will not just see it with Lando, but is he going to wind up for one on this next lap? Or is he closing out a tepid lap? No, he's winding one up here. So, oh, yeah, getting the turn in, drifting towards the exit. We want to stay with Norris for that one because now he's attacking on that medium tyre and just sort of coaxing it in to Saint-Devote and then leaning on that rear axle, trying to find the traction up the hill.
Hadjar is the driver making his way through Saint-Devote now, as you get a look at the poodle, as described by Jolyon Palmer, on the rear wing. Flying by, huge speed as we make our way into Casino Square. Wait for it. Here he comes, negotiating his way through. Blink and you miss it stuff.
You make me see the poodle more at low speed, the side angle. Through he goes, past the Fairmont Hotel, down into the low speed. So much lap time in the middle sector is made up in this low speed stuff.
Okay, let's go trackside again with Juan Pablo.
So guys, you just missed Lando about wreck through here. You can tell the commitment level of the good guys is incredible. Max, look at Hadjar is coming here. You see what? Look at it. It was, I mean, for what we've seen, he's being a little careful. Charles, Max, Lewis, and a second ago Norris, their commitment level so much higher. This place, as you said, is so easy to crash here. And you can always make lap time, but when you go left and you need to hold that throttle down, it's like, oh yeah, you know what I mean? It's so good, so watch out all weekend. This place is so dangerous.
It is an iconic place to watch. You can put your nose on the fence for a bit. Here's Lando Norris. This is what Juan Pablo was talking about. Big movement at high speed and then nearly dropping it on the exit.
Yeah, he's lit up the rears at the high speed, sliding, and then he turns up to the next corner. A fraction of a second later, turns in and has nothing left there. So escaped past Juan Pablo and then escaped past us as well in the commentary box on the exit of that corner. And it meant that we didn't see a proper time on the board, but Norris was chipping away on that medium tyre. He was not about to trouble Antonelli's time, though.
George Russell, second in the championship, 43 points back to Kimi Antonelli, has never started or finished in the top 4 of the Monaco Grand Prix. There's a time good enough for third on the medium tyre, 4/10 of a second away from Kimi Antonelli. Isaac Hadjar going again on the hard tyre. He's dropped it into the wall. Isaac Hadjar, who has been driving with a margin through this session, goes beyond the limit, and he has stuck it into the barriers just below our commentary box. And Isaac Hadjar brings out our first red flag of the weekend. The French driver spinning in to the Tech Pro, and his session is done.
Oh, there's a lot of damage. The barrier comes at you so quickly there. So he's had a similar moment to Norris. Norris was on a much grippier medium tyre. Hadjar was still on his original set of hards. He'd been in the pits but hadn't changed. and he just doesn't gather it up. The car, as he turns into the right, gets loose on the rear. He stays with it rather than bailing out really initially on the first turn in. He stays with it just for a fraction more, and it's gone. Loose on the rear for Hadjar, and that is a lot of damage on the Red Bull.
Yeah, the mechanics come into this weekend knowing that they're going to be called into action. Ruth was telling you about all the pit stop practice that they do, but he was clearly trying to leave a margin all the way through the session. He was not close to the barriers in the same way that Max was, and round he goes.
Yeah, it's the onboard here, so he turns it in. He doesn't.
Are you okay?
Yeah, but I don't understand, like, why it snapped up like that. I'm sorry.
So it's a very similar time to Lando having his big snap at the same corner. So at that point you wonder if there's been a wind change direction or something. It's not the breeziest day out there, and it's fairly sheltered with all the grandstands and the yachts in the harbour and everything. But yeah, it has been quite an aggressive snap there for Hadjar. He turns it in, and you feel that through your body that the rear's going. Everything just goes light, and you have a split second to just catch it and just bolt straight across the runoff. But it's gone really quickly on him as well, so it's a tough one. And you're carrying so much speed. I mean, there's clearly no runoff there on the exit, and he goes to the wall for a biggie. He's quick around this circuit as well. Form last year, he's been quick in the first half of this session. That will leave him on the back foot.
Yeah, he was downright sensational on debut last year, finding himself with a brilliant qualifying performance for the best ever starting position for the Faenza-based team. They've been known by many names in Formula One, but he was just great all the way through the weekend last year. Not off to the easiest start in 2026. We thank all of the marshals who take such pride in their work around this circuit, practice all the time, and that barrier will need repairing. But the car has been immediately moved to behind the barrier, and here is Isaac Hadjar making his way. So he's hit the wall, which is down there. He's gone up the stairs on the left-hand side. He's immediately back to the pits.
Yeah, I said it before, it's the easiest one to hit around this circuit. There's plenty of lap time in there. You want to have a sharp front, which naturally will lead you towards a loose rear, which is what Hadjar found himself with, but it was the aggressive nature of the snap there as he turned in with a little bit more commitment, feeling the grip, finding a bit of pace through the apexes, attacking the entries a little bit more, and the rear's just slid. And from there, if you're not able to catch it on that first moment of feeling it, then it's gone. It's too late with the commitment and the speed that you're now approaching that corner.
Kimi Antonelli, low-speed corners, so that's everywhere, is half a second quicker than George Russell, and George Russell is just, some drivers gel with track, some drivers don't. George Russell struggled here in his F2 championship year, and the Williams was never the fastest car, but it's never been a circuit where we've seen some of those electric efforts that he had when he had the name Mr. Saturday.
Can I reveal my Mercedes stats to you?
I would love it.
Because I feel like you're teeing me up here. When was the last time Mercedes had a front row start in Monaco? Oof. My stats are going to turn into a quiz here.
Why not? The red flag is out. The pit lane exit is closed. The teams have been saying on the radio to the drivers that it might be a long one. They've got to repair the barrier. This is the reason why. Isaac Hadjar losing the car into the second part of the swimming pool. Did you see me buy myself some time?
You're such a pro.
I'm going to go 2019.
Correct.
Is it right? That was
full marked.
That's why I bought the time.
So front row lockout for Mercedes in 2019. When was the last time Mercedes were on the front two rows here?
Wow. I'm not sure.
2021.
Wow, that is a very, very long time.
And it was Valtteri Bottas. You had Lewis Hamilton down in 7th, finished the race, spent the race behind Pierre Gasly, and it was really costly for him at the time in the 21 season. You had Max Verstappen winning, Hamilton struggling in the Mercedes, Bottas.
Man, that's a real-time replay of Isaac Hadjar's session ending.
Yeah, commitment from the cameraman there. I hope he's all right.
I reckon that's on a poll. I don't think we've got anyone down there.
My word.
I hope not. Yeah.
Poll got knocked. Yeah, but my point in the quiz is this is not a good track for Mercedes. only once in the last 10 years they started on the front row, and that was the 2019 front row lockout, Hamilton and Bottas. So when Russell joined Mercedes in 22, they've not had a car